We begin with the headlines. Nigerian Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa charges strategic commanders to adopt innovative thinking in the ongoing fight against terrorism. The Nigerian Army fine-tunes strategies to ensure terrorists are eliminated. Plus, the Nigerian Defense Academy warns Kaduna residents ahead of shooting exercise. Now let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we bring you the news in detail.
For deeper analysis on security situation in Nigeria and beyond, watch Third Eye Africa TV.
Welcome back. Now the news in detail. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has charged strategic commanders within the armed forces, security and intelligence agencies to adopt innovative thinking and collaborative action in the ongoing fight against terrorism. Now, General Musa emphasized the strategic level leaders play a critical role in spearheading the country's response to crisis. The CDS gave a charge when he spoke at Commanders course organized by the National Counter-Terrorism Center and United Kingdom High Commission in Abuja. He noted that addressing the country's security challenges required a whole-of-society approach and is not limited to the security agencies alone. In his remarks, the National Coordinator of NCTC, Major General Adamu Laka, emphasized the importance of involving non-state actors in counter-terrorism efforts. Now, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Oluyede, has vowed that terrorists in Nigeria will have no respite until they are completely neutralized. He stated that the Nigerian Army is enhancing its strategies to ensure that more terrorists, particularly in the northeast, are eliminated from the country. General Oluyede made this declaration told the 35 Artillery Brigade Alamala in Abeokuta, Ogun State. He noted that the army had achieved significant success in eliminating a large number of and that further efforts were underway to strengthen these achievements. The army chief, who was accompanied by senior officials from the force headquarters, said the military was developing new strategies to achieve better results and make Nigeria more secure. Now, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has assumed the chairmanship of the Association of African Air Forces, emphasizing the need for African-led solutions to the continent's security challenges. Statement by the spokesperson for the Nigerian Air Force, Air Vice Marshal Lushola Akimboyewa, disclosed that AAAF is a non-political organization dedicated to enhancing air power capability and cooperation among African nations. He said at the African Air Chief Symposium, which held in Zambia from 16 to 22 February 2025, the Air Force Chief highlighted the importance of regional collaboration and strategic partnerships in strengthening African air power capabilities and addressing common threats. Air Marshal Abubakar stressed that enhanced cooperation among African air forces was crucial for tackling emerging security challenges such as terrorism and transnational. Now, the Nigerian Defense Academy has issued a warning to the residents of Afaka, Kaya, and Mando in Kaduna to steer clear of its open range during an upcoming shooting exercise. The Academic Public Relations Officer, Major Mohammed Madawa, announced in a statement issued to News Agency of Nigeria in Kaduna. Madawa said the exercise had been scheduled to take place from February 26 to March 1. He said the exercise is part of the advanced application of fire package for the Army cadets of the 72 regular corps. According to him, the exercise will involve live firing of arms, adding that it is essential for the training and development of the cadet. He emphasized the importance of safety, placing barriers and warning signs around range areas to indicate restricted zones. Now, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has intensified its crackdown on substandard falsified medicines and counterfeit products across the country. As part of the nationwide enforcement efforts, the agency arrested 40 suspects and confiscated 27 truckloads of falsified medicines, expired drugs, and counterfeit products during a massive operation in Idumota Market, Lagos. The enforcement exercise in Lagos follows shocking discoveries of illicit drug activities in Aba and Onitsha markets, reinforcing NAFDAC's determination to restore sanity across all states in the Federation. And NAFDAC Director General Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, who personally led the operation, assured Nigerians that the agency will remain steadfast in its mission to eradicate counterfeit medicines and unsafe products from the market. Professor Adeyeye expressed deep concerns over the egregious storage conditions discovered during the raid, saying that many of the confiscated products were kept in poorly ventilated environments without any form of regulatory compliance. Now let's go on a quick break, and when we return, newspaper and press review continues, so stay tuned.
Deeper analysis on security situation in Nigeria and beyond, watch Third Eye Africa TV.
Welcome back. We are delighted to have with us veteran journalist Luka Beliat with an expressive 28 years of experience under his belt. He's had a distinguished career as a correspondent for Vanguard newspaper in Kaduna State and currently contributes to several US-based newspapers. Luka, thank you for joining us on Newspaper and Press Review today.
It's my pleasure, Joy. Thank you for bringing me here.
You're welcome. Well, let's go over our newspaper and what we have for today. Well, we have Natasha Souza Pabio demands 1.3 billion naira for damages. And we also have that you find in page 3 of the Blueprint newspaper. And in page 4 of Blueprint newspaper, we have our reforms wooing foreign investors back to Nigeria. That's the precedents. We also have fast-track revenue allocation formula review. Federal government orders RMAFC. You find that in page 8 of the Blueprint newspaper. And in Daily Trust newspaper, we have APC National Caucus meets ahead. Find that in page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And 13 killed in Yobe, Sokoto auto crash. You find that in page 12 of the Daily Trust newspaper. We also have food prices drop ahead of Ramadan. Find that in page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Food demands federal government demands probe as Nigerian footballer dies in Uganda. That's in page 31 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And then we also have forget about 2027 presidency. Akume tells Atiku Bala others. We find that in page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. And then stop behaving like a child. President replies Erifai. Well, Mr. Luka, there has been allegations circulating online suggesting that U.S. aid has been sponsoring terrorism, and particularly in relation to Boko Haram.
No.
Well, as a seasoned journalist with extensive experience covering the region, can you shed more light on these claims? Have you ever encountered any evidence or testimonies during your reporting that may refute these allegations?
You see, when this allegation came up, I was actually taken aback because it was just a few days or maybe a week or two after the Chief of Defense Staff granted an interview in which he said that the activities of some of these international NGOs in the Northeast, it's quite curious. He said that there are times that some of these terrorists are arrested or caught, killed and large amount of foreign currencies will be found on them. He also alleged that some of these NGOs will treat soldiers and then still go into the bush and treat wounded terrorists. And when they are confronted, they will say that they were a neutral group, so we are not expected to, favor one side. Knowing fully well that all the Western countries have agreed that Boko Haram is a terrorist group. So if Boko Haram is a terrorist group, why would any Western-funded organization want to go and, treat these terrorists? Now, when this allegation came from a member of the United States Congress himself, that you said was involved in sponsoring Boko Haram in the Northeast, I refuse to dismiss that entirely. Because if you look at the regimes of the Democrats under Bill Clinton, for example, no, not under Bill Clinton, under Obama, when Barack Obama was president, he bluntly refused to assist Nigeria to, snuff out the evil of Boko Haram in the Northeast. He made it in a manner that it became a political tool for Goodluck Jonathan to be out of office. And the policy of the Democrat is that of what we call woke. They encourage extreme deviant behaviors, which is inimical to our values. The LGBT thing that, as you know, they try to force it on some African countries. Some have succumbed, but Nigeria bluntly. So I would not be surprised if the Biden administration has a way of promoting these extreme groups. You can see the kind of sweeping and easy win that the Taliban had, in Afghanistan under his own nose. It was a very curious development, which many people ask, how could the Taliban have just made this sweeping victory without any resistance? But it was under Biden. We believe that if it was under Trump, that couldn't have happened.
Yes.
So the attitude of the Democrats, anytime they are in power, especially in the last, it's something that is very disturbing. But my own view about this is that it may not, you said, may not be carrying out an actual policy of government, of their own government. But it will be that some officials of the state have become very corrupt under the Nigerian environment and have seen the viability of the continuation of this Boko Haram as means of also lining their pockets with dollars. Because as long I was in Maiduguri recently with my colleague to do some investigative stories, especially as pertain to the southern part of Borno, the Chibok areas and this. And then I was overwhelmed by the number of NGOs I saw there. The cost of staying in a hotel in is as much, if not more expensive than in Abuja here. Why? Because of the kind of money that these workers with these NGOs have with them. So if that kind of environment is viable for these NGOs to thrive, and you said being one of their major funding agency, I believe that the people that we are running, you said, in Nigeria, will want a continuation of that kind of environment, not necessarily as a policy of government. So I think the U.S. congressman was right that somehow, invariably, the United States government encourage, this insurgency in the Northeast.
Okay, well, away from that, we have stop behaving like a child. Presidency replies El-Rufai. Well, the other day, El-Rufai granted an interview to a news station, and he spoke about President like Tinubu not granting him the ministerial position. Now press and move on. What do you have to say about that?
You know, El-Rufai is running from pillar to post and behaving actually like a spoiled child, like a child whose candy has been taken away from him. El-Rufai is struggling and trying to assert himself as a strong political force, you know, in the Nigerian political environment. But some of us, especially those of us that come from Kaduna State, we know that El-Rufai has long expended his political capital. El-Rufai is only viable in little areas of Kaduna State where his divisive, you know, policies when he was governor made some of these few extremists very happy. But apart from that, virtually everybody, if you are not a direct victim of El-Rufai, either one of your family member or a friend is a victim of El-Rufai's inhuman policies. So the fact that El-Rufai confirmed as a minister is to say that that is the wish of majority of the people of the state where he comes from. So if El-Rufai is trying to play bravado, that he's such a big, you know, political juggernaut, as we say, he is just painting a fake image of himself. So as far as we are concerned, if anybody is going to rattle President Ahmed Tinubu, who I'm not a fan of anyway, it's not going to be El-Rufai at all. All this, you know, going about saying he's looking for partnership to forge with the South-South. A South-South group just responded to him. I was reading it yesterday, warning him not to come near the Niger Delta people, you know, seeking for that kind of camaraderie in 2027. So El-Rufai is a political spent force, and he's just trying to stay afloat and get some attention, but which the media will always give him, and give it to him is always a newsmaker. But that's where he stops. Apart from this and actions, encourage these bandits, whom we always identify as Fulani herdsmen. We don't care what the Nigerian government is saying that we are profiling a tribe. Ask every victim of the kidnap. In fact, at the time, the Sultan himself of Sokoto, who is the spiritual and the traditional rulers of all the Fulanis in Nigeria, complained that out of 10 killers, 9 are Fulanis. So I don't know why people are shying away from saying this truth. It's an honest truth. Even the Fulanis are also victims of their own Fulanis. So there's nothing to hide about that. So when El-Rufai was governor of Kaduna State, it became very obvious that he has taken side with them. In fact, he encouraged them to do some of the things that they were doing. Put in mind the story of we paid herdsmen to stop killing in southern Kaduna. It was my story. I did that story. And he came out on national TV. He didn't refute the story, but he said I twisted it. And there was no way he could have... I could have twisted it out of the way I put it. It was at a press conference, which he didn't invite me. Of course, they blacklisted me when he was in. They were not inviting me to the assignment, and I was also uncomfortable about it. But each time they came back from their press conference, I always look at the TV, the videos, and then make my stories. And I discovered that my colleagues were unwilling to use that part of the story. And I used it, and it became a big story. So El-Rufai was able to identify the people that were coming to southern Kaduna and killed his own citizens. Instead of going into diplomatic means of getting them brought to justice, he paid them what he called compensation. That kind of crime against his own citizens, it cannot be quantified. Again, El-Rufai instigated mass murder of the Adara natives. In February 2019, When he came on national TV, he and his commissioner of home security, one Samuel Aran, to say that Adara people killed Fulanis and buried them in mass grave. It was unusual for a governor to come out and call the name of a tribe and say they had killed Fulani people. And he even went to a place that he claimed was where they were buried and pointed at the place. I was part of the journalists that went to the bush to verify these claims of El-Rufai. And we discovered it was a total lie. But to confirm it finally, we came to meet the commissioner of police then, one Abdurrahman Ahmad, who incidentally happened to be my classmate at when we were doing our master's degree in conflict and peace studies at KASU. So he willingly opened up and said, no, that El-Rufai does not have any evidence to say what he said. That if anybody was to confirm that story, it was him, because that's his job as the chief security, as the head of all the police in the state. He said that he had warned El-Rufai not to make statements that are not verified and confirmed by him. So he denied that claim. Now, in that February, that was when the wanton murder and destruction of Adararan in Kajuru local government areas of southern Kaduna took place. Hundreds of thousands were displaced. Thousands were killed. And thank God, El-Rufai and his government were weekly, or is it quarterly, compiling the names of people that have been killed, their ages and all that. And it was in hundreds. So you cannot compare the security atmosphere of Ubasani now as governor and that of El-Rufai. They are totally different. Even the utterances that El-Rufai will say against a certain section of the East was a very dividing, seriously dividing force. So El-Rufai's tenure, as far as most residents of Kaduna State are concerned, was a period of uninterrupted physical and psychological terror.
Well, do you agree with the present administration of Kaduna State in terms of negotiating with bandits?
No. That is an ignoble and unacceptable act. We have disagreed with the president. I was the chairman, with the governor, sorry. I was the immediate past chairman of the Middle Belt Forum, Kaduna State chapter. I issued a statement condemning that act because it is inhuman. It is bizarre for you to forgive terrorists who have carried out heinous crimes, not only against your citizens, but against the state. And you bring them out, and it's like he was celebrating them the day he declared amnesty on them.
Yes.
And then he announced that he was going to rehabilitate them. How can you rehabilitate hardened criminals, some of them in their 50s, some of them already multimillionaires from, the money of ransom? What kind of rehabilitation are you going to do to them when they are already very rich in their own way?